What on earth is going on with Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis, which was set for UFC 299? A lot of weird stuff is happening, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. My name is James Lynch. So first, I'm on my live stream this morning. Someone mentions that Dustin Poirier says the fight's off, and I thought he was kidding because I hadn't seen anything to this point. But here it's clear as day. Dustin Poirier at 12 Eastern says my fight's off, but still working. Very vague tweet. Don't really know what's going on here. Then Benoit Saint Denis on Instagram, and credit to Nolan King for finding this, posted on his Instagram, I'm counting down the days, of course, translated from French to English, saying that he's counting down the days. We have Alex Pate here, Patel. I hope I'm saying that right. He says, Benoit Saint Denis' team tells me they don't understand Dustin Poirier's tweet about UFC 299 fight being canceled. Benoit's manager tells me the fight is still happening. Per Benoit's Instagram post this evening, they're counting down the days. So again, just kind of leading more to the Saint Denis side, saying the fight's still on. Ariel Helwani then reaches out to Poirier, says, and Poirier responds back and says there was no contractual agreement before the fight was announced. We couldn't come to terms. Guilherme Cruz, a colleague of Ariel Helwani, says Vicente Luque, Sean Brady, now Dustin Poirier, Benoit Saint Denis. 2 days in a row where fights announced by Dana White are now off because they were never really a done deal. Ariel saying this is factual. I mean, we've seen this happen before where they announce fights and it's not 100% official. The weird thing for me in all this is why did Poirier not even mention this on social media? Like I remember when Aljamain Sterling was booked against Sean O'Malley when he was still the champion. Sterling at least came out and said nothing signed. We saw Paulo Costa with the Robert Whittaker fight say nothing signed. Was Poirier told not to do that? I just find that part really odd, that nothing was absolutely signed at all. And you see all these people making these posts about this fight. This fight was announced on January 8th. MMA Fighting has the report there right now. I know Dana White announces it, but it just seems odd that Poirier never came out and said that nothing was signed. I think that's the part that's kind of throwing people off. If Poirier had come out and said nothing signed and this news happens, then we're like, okay, that makes sense. They couldn't come to terms, but it just seems very odd to me. And look, I did a video on this giving Dustin Poirier full credit for taking this fight because there's not a lot of upside in Dustin Poirier taking this fight. He's the A side of this fight. He's been ranked high for a while. I know a lot of fans want to see Poirier keep active and fight, your guys like this, like Benoit Saint Denis, who don't have a super notable name in the division, similar to what Justin Gaethje did when he fought Rafael Fiziev. So I understand people's frustrations there, but also I understand Poirier's side of this where it's like, look, I'm fighting this guy where he has all the upside here. If Poirier wins, obviously he'll still be in the same spot, so to speak. But I mean, for Saint Denis, he has so much to gain here, and he's actually the betting favorite in this fight. I think a lot of people were expecting him to win this fight. So that's where things get interesting here a little bit. It seems like Dustin Poirier never signed a contract. And again, very odd that he's not even giving a hint of this on social media. We know it's 5 rounds. I guess the timing of this to me is just very odd. Again, we're recording this on February 1st. We had 4 weeks. Why was there no talk of a contract not happening? And what is it? Is it money? I mean, the 5 rounds, Dana said it was happening. I know some people close to the Poirier situation who told me that Poirier was the one who requested 5 rounds because it favors him, right? If Saint Denis, goes past round 3, Poirier's got that champion, the 5-round experience. I was going to say champion. He wasn't a champion, but he's had that 5-round experience where Saint Denis doesn't. So I understand that. So I don't know what's going on here. And here's the thing, let's say it's a money issue. If you're the UFC, you're trying to stack this 299 card, why won't you just pay him the money? It just seems to me crazy that there could be some sort of financial issue for this fight not taking place. I don't think it's the 5 rounds. I don't think it's the weight. Obviously, Poirier fights at 55, so does Saint Denis. So I don't really know. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Why do you think this fight is not happening? It can't just be money. I can't see the UFC, not ponying up. It seems like when they want to make fights happen financially, they'll make it happen, unless there's a fight I'm not thinking of where that didn't take place. But this is just very, very, very odd to me. Now, there could be a silver lining here. I'm going to throw out one little conspiracy here as well. Is this because they might be moving this to UFC 300? I always thought this was a fight that belonged on that card, not UFC 299. Because if you look right now at UFC 299, even if this fight ends up being off, and again, at the time of recording this, the UFC, no one's actually come out and said this fight's off other than Poirier. The UFC could still make things happen, I suppose. But you take this fight off, you still got a pretty strong main card here with Burns and JDM, Yan and Song Yadong, Kevin Hall and Michael Page. You could put Munoz and Phillips on the main card. You could put Blades and Almeida should be on the main card realistically. This used to be a main event. Remember, when that fight was initially booked. You got Gamrot and Dos Anjos on the prelims. This is a card of all cards where if a fight had to move, it's not bad that this fight is happening. But I mean, the silver lining here could be they could add this to UFC 300, which, fans always want to see more big fights on that card. And I think that fight is much better suited for UFC 300. Is the UFC doing that maybe? Is this why the contract's not working out? Is it all one big conspiracy that they actually want to move this to 300 because people are complaining so much? I don't know. I don't think it's really that. I do think Poirier's having some sort of issue with the UFC and getting this booked. Again, When was the last time Poirier fought someone that wasn't like a notable name? Let's go look at Poirier's resume here right now. I mean, who's the last guy he fought that's like an up-and-comer? These are all notable names. Look at this. Gaethje, Chandler, Oliveira, McGregor, Hooker, Habib, Holloway, Alvarez, Gaethje, Pettis. I mean, the last time he fought someone, and Jim Miller's a notable name, but not really like a big name, so to speak. I mean, that was back in 2017. So this is where things get really interesting here. And like I said, I understand a bit from Poirier's perspective where it's like, look, like you're giving me a guy to build him up, basically. Again, Poirier could... And then saying that, though, who does Poirier fight? Like, let's look at the rankings right now. If he's not fighting Saint Denis, who's left? There's really not a lot of people, unless he gets a fight with... I'm trying to remember if... he fought Dan Hooker. I was just thinking of Dan Hooker here. Maybe you do that rematch. Hooker just came off and went over Jalen Turner, right? So... Looking at the lightweight rankings right now, I mean, Poirier's number 3, which I have issues with that. Again, not a lot of activity there. But, like, who does he fight? Like, everyone else is pretty much booked up, you know? And some of these guys train at ATT, like in the case of Gamrot. I think Gamrot would have been a good fight here, too. So, is Dariush an option? I know he didn't initially want to fight him, but... I mean, is Dariush now an option now with him coming up a couple losses? Like, that seems like a fight that Poirier might want more than Saint Denis. At least with Dariush, he's a bit more of a notable name. So, I don't know, guys. This is really odd. I do hope the fight happens. Like, after they booked it and, kind of thought about it a little bit, I'm like, this is just going to be a good fight. And I think it's a good indication of if Poirier is still a title contender at this point, because I really don't know. Him getting knocked out by Gaethje was a pretty big setback, right? So, that's a big question here. If he beats a Saint Denis, then he's right back in the saddle, so to speak. With Saint Denis, obviously, he had a lot more to gain because this is the biggest fight he's ever had in his career. I mean, going from who was Saint Denis' last fight? Was it Thiago Moises? Oh no, it was Frivola. Frivola was his last fight, right? This is a big step up fighting Dustin Poirier. So I hope the UFC can figure this out. I want to see this fight. Selfishly, I would love to see this at UFC 300 because I'm going to cover that card. That would be great. I imagine too, maybe one of the reasons they wanted to put this on 299 is it's in Miami. Poirier trains in Florida. Maybe that's another incentive too. So we'll see what happens. But again, the timing of this is just so odd. January 8th, the fight's announced. February 1st, we're talking about this here now. Like, why did this not come out sooner that there was no contract? It just seems very odd, or from the Poirier side anyways. Again, we just referenced it there, the tweet here from Guilherme Cruz about the Luque Brady thing. I mean, my understanding with the Brady situation was that Brady wasn't healthy and the UFC kind of just went ahead and announced it. And then Brady's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like maybe we need to move this. So I still don't know what they're doing there. I don't know if they're even going to get a replacement for Luque. They might just push the fight. Who knows? We'll have to sort of see what happens there. But UFC's got to quit doing this, man. Like announcing fights. Like, I get that, they have, with the ESPN deal, they kind of have to make fights and get people interested, and then they can sort of build a card around that. Like, I understand that part of it, but I think it's a really bad idea, this trend that they keep doing, which is just putting fights out there that aren't official, and then they fall apart because now fans are going to be pissed. I mean, granted, this card is super stacked. Like I said, this being off 299 is not going to hurt the card tremendously. It's still a stacked card, but you got to feel for people. Like, what if you were just going to this card because you wanted to see Dustin Poirier and you bought tickets? Like, if you're a fan, that's really a crappy deal, and it's something the UFC's got to work on a little bit better, getting all parties to sign and figuring this out. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this, because I was really looking forward to this fight, and like I said, at the time of recording this, it looks like 90% this isn't happening, but we'll wait to see if, again, money talks. We can maybe get some stuff put together before 299, or possibly maybe move this to 300 or another card. So we'll see what happens. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What's your reaction to this? What's your theory on why they couldn't come to terms here? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @LynchOnSports. And if you have any other video ideas, any news that's going on, let me know. I'm trying to keep tabs anyways, but I got 2 videos out today, which is good because there's some notable stuff to talk about. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.